so you join me at Willowcroft Fisheries. We're fishing Calf Lake and I've had an absolute nightmare start on the lake so far. I've lost a couple, then the fish seem to move off me. My mates have been having it away next to me and I've just been sat in here wondering what to do. I've tried everything, putting bait out, fishing singles, fishing zigs, everything for nothing, but then I just flicked a rod down the margin and had a flurry of bites. Had 3 takes, lost one and landed 2. One was a tiny little stocky thing, all grown on, it was only a pound or 2, and then we've had this little tiny common as well, so it's a start. There's a lot of small fish in here. It's a bit of a runs water. I should have been having a lot more than I have had, but hopefully that's going to change soon. So yeah, we'll slip this one back, we'll get the rods back out. Got 48 hours here on a social with some mates just to have a bit of fun and catch a few fish. They've been having it away and I haven't, so I'm getting ribbed for that, but fingers crossed there's a start of things to come. Alright, so fish number 3 came off the baited spot. It's ripped away after putting a little bag of pellet out over that spot and a little wafter, a Techni Spice wafter from NutriBaits. It was away really quickly after recasting it, so I then got the fish out, and then as I was doing that the rod was away again after I recast it. So there's another one in the mat, but this one's the biggest one so far, at just over 20 pounds. So let's see if it'll behave. Just been in the mat while I was playing, in the sling while I was playing the other fish. So there we go. How about that? A bit bigger than the last one. Hopefully there's a few more bigger ones to come. So yeah, pretty happy with that. The baited spot seems to be doing a few fish now. So we'll slip this one back and I'll get the other one out and show you that one. Alright, so here we go, fish number 4, a little scaly one. Once again came to a Techni Spice wafter over the baited spot. So there's a few fish over there now, so hopefully a few more to come. It's now going into evening, so we'll see if we get any more through the night. If it really kicks off, may well reel in and wait till the morning, because it can really get a bit hectic on here if they get going. So we'll slip this one back, get the rods back set, have a nice little takeaway and a bit of a social, and see if we have any more to show you before long. Alright, so here we go, fish number 5. Come to the margin spot this time. I actually lost a fish off that rod a little while ago. I just flicked out another single Techni Spice wafter with a little bag of pellets on it, and it was away within a matter of minutes. I barely got the bobbin back on. Just this little mirror, but still fish around. Seen a few down in this little corner rolling around, so fingers crossed for a few more. So number 5, little mirror. Actually had another rig attached to it at the back, so it's obviously been foul hooked or lost at some point. So we'll just touch that one up, but nice big scale on it. A little old fish, but we'll slip this one back and see if we can get a few more before dark, as the light's now starting to fade. So fingers crossed for another one, but hopefully a little bit bigger. Alright, so fish number 6, proper football shaped one, this one. Once again, same, out on the baited spot. They're really going mad out there now. After a recast, that was a matter of minutes before it ripped off again. So yeah, just got one rod out there. Not sure how long I'm going to keep going. Once it gets dark, I think we're all probably going to reel in, give it a rest until the morning. So let's just have a look at this one. It's a bit of a football shaped one, this one. Pretty lively. There we go, about 18-19 pound, something like that. Fat old dumpy one. Nice little one, and I think the other rod's away. So slip this one over and go have a look. Alright, here we go, number 7, little one ripped off once again. Rod just flicked out, barely out 5 minutes and it's gone. Haven't had a chance to put any more bait out. Haven't put the rod back out yet. I thought I'd better do this one before I get the rod back out, because I'm sure it's probably going to rip off again. But yeah, I'm not sure if we'll talk much more. I'll see how it goes through the evening, and I'll report back in the morning and let you know with a few video clips of how it's done, and we'll go into some more detail about the rigs and the tactics that I've employed here to be getting these bites, because I made quite a few changes because I was really struggling at the start, but looking at it now I think maybe the fish just weren't on me. But I'll slip this one back, we'll get the rods back out, and I'll chat to you in the morning. Right, so good morning. It was a busy night in the end. I reeled in at about midnight. I've had 15 now, this is number 15. So it's all kicked off mainly on that baited spot. I did have one from the margin, but the rest have been from there. And this is the biggest of the lot so far at 26 pound. Big old fat one. So if we just lift it up and take a look at it, be a little lively as I just got the rod back out. Definitely is lively. The others have all looked spawned out, but this one doesn't. There we go, how about that? 26 pound on the nose, pretty much. His tail's got a bit of damage, so I'll treat that up beforehand. But yeah, definitely the biggest one so far. Pretty happy with that, to wade through the small ones to get to a bigger one. We'll spin it around and have a look at the other side. The wind has really picked up now. It's absolutely hacking down here, so apologies for the noise, but let's have a look at this side. Not that there's too much, it's a fairly plain fish as they are in here, but they don't have to give you a good scrap. There we go. How about that? Right, we'll get this one back out there and see if we can get a few more, see if we can get over 20 fish today. Okay, so we just slipped that fish back, and I thought I'd just talk to you about how I came to the decision to fish the area of the lake that I'm fishing, how I found my spots and all that lot here on Calf Lake. Now, for those of you coming to Calf Lake for the first time, the lake itself hasn't really got loads of features. It's basically a hole in the ground, which is not a nice term. It sounds bad on the lake, but it is what it is. There's not really many features to go for. There are loads of fish in here, and they're usually spread all around the lake. So I was here on a social with my friends, so we found 3 swims together up on this end of the wind. The wind's hacking down there. On lakes that are heavily stocked, or any lakes really, on the wind is always a good place to start, especially a southwesterly wind. So we set up on the wind, and I had a little lead around, but there's nothing out there at all really. There's no weed, it's just a smooth bottom. So I found a bit nice and comfortably in my own water that wasn't going to be disturbed from the other swims around me, because the swims here are quite tight, so you want to make sure you're well within your water, because you want to be fishing the same spot the whole time. There's no point putting a little bit of bait here, then recasting over here, somewhere else. You want to try and get those fish going back to the same spot time and time again. And as you can tell from this session, it started off slowly, and then once we got the fish coming in, a couple of spots every time, every couple of fish, and they're really coming back now to the point that when I put a rod out there, it's gone within minutes. So it's really pays dividend to stick to a spot and find it, and just keep the bait going in slowly. So that comes on to my next thing about bait application. There is a 2k limit of bait per day on Calf Lake, because there's a lot of anglers on here, and although there's a lot of fish, there'd be a lot of bait going in if everyone could put in whatever they wanted. So you want to get yourself good quality bait and just put a little bit in at a time. I started off with 4 or 5 spodfuls on the spot, and every time I've had a couple of fish, I've just put 2 spods over the top each time, and that just keeps the fish coming back in. And don't worry about spodding, it does not scare the fish on a lake like this. I might have footage of it, I've tried to get it, but I've had multiple takes while I've been spodding, and also you regularly see the fish rolling up and hitting against the spod on the surface as the bait's coming out. They're straight on it, they really do. And it's another really good tip of what's helped me, is we've realised between the 3 of us, if we haven't had a bite within, I know it sounds stupid, 15-20 minutes, a quick recast, just reel that rod in. They're not disturbed by the lead going in, so it's not affecting anything. Just clip that rod back up, maybe a fresh bag of pellet, and just flick it straight back out there, and you'll find that that rod will often go really quickly. I mean, we're now down to a few minutes a bite at the moment while the fish are on us. That's why I've had to reel in to do these little video bits, which is why this video is a bit of mismatch and all over the place, because it's been a bit hectic. But yeah, just keep that bait going in little and often, and you'll find that you'll have real good success. And if you're not having anything too quickly, just a little recast. Maybe, you know, see how it is on your day. If other people around the lake are having a lot of fish and you're struggling, maybe a little recast every now and then will help nick yourself a little bite. So I'm going to get the rods back out there now and see if I can nick another one. Alright, fish number 18, lively little one. I've also got number 19 in the net and no rods in the water. So it's been absolute chaos. So Going to slip this one back quickly, get the other one out, and then we'll try and talk through, if I get a moment, about the rigs and a few other bits and pieces that I've been using on this session. Alright, so I'll just quickly talk you through the rig that I've had all the fish on so far. It's a really simple setup, but it's already landed me a lot of fish, and I'm sure it will do as well. It's barbless rules on here, so it is a barbless hook hold, so the rig is really important to make sure you don't lose a lot of fish, because it comes out a lot easier, especially with the catfish and the harder fights. So if I talk you through from the top end, we've got a fluorocarbon main line, and then I've got a flying back lead on there just to fly back up the main line and help pin everything down, because there's no weed or anything out there, it's just a flat bottom, so I want everything pinned down as much as possible. And then we come down to the dark matter tubing section, just to help keep everything pinned down and out of the way once again. Then we've got a Corda hybrid lead clip with a little 2-ounce lead on there, on fairly firmly, because I don't want to be dropping the lead every time, because as I say, there's nothing out there, there's no weed or anything. We've then got an anti-tangle sleeve to kick everything away to the rig. Now the rig itself is a combi rig, and it's a fluorocarbon section of boom. And then we've got a little all-break knot covered in a bit of rig putty. We've got a section of soft coated braid just before the hook, and then that's on a side 6 wide gape, which is fished almost combi style, so the hook bait can multi-rig style, sorry, so the hook bait can move around nice and freely on a little D, and that's held in place there with a bit of anti-tangle sleeve liner style on the side 6 wide gape. And the fish have been absolutely nailed on this, even the cats have been nailed and coming in really easily. I've only dropped a couple of fish, which is really good for the ratio of landed fish on barbless. And then the hook bait itself is just a little wafter. So this is a big fish mix wafter. I've also had plenty on the Technispice wafters here this weekend. I'm not really sure what wafter will make a difference out there, but as long as it's a wafter, because I was fishing pop-ups to start with and nothing, and as soon as I swapped over to wafters, I started getting bites. I swapped back to pop-ups again last night to give myself a bit of a break, and I only had one fish in the morning. So I definitely think it's the wafters. They're not into the pop-ups off the bottom, whether it's because it's a hard firm bottom and they're so into the feeding and the bits of bait that they don't want anything off the deck, I don't know, but the wafters are definitely one at the moment. So when I cast out, I just have a small little bag of PVA pellets. These are the big fish mix pellets to match the bait that I'm feeding from NutriBaits, and I just hook this on the hook bait and pick it out there, and these are going really quickly at the moment over the baited spot. So I'm going to hook this one on there and get it out there and see if we can have another bite. Alright, so just having a little bit of a break from the fishing, got my rods in for a little while, just put a little bit more bait in, and I thought I'd just give you a bit of a rundown on my approach when I fish these really highly stocked, like big hit fishing style venues like Calf Lake is. You'd think it would be really easy all the time with a load of fishing, and it is easy fishing. It's not the kind of fishing I'd want to do all the time, but it is really good fun. It's definitely got its place in fishing for people coming into the sport, introducing people to fishing, because what's more fun than coming to somewhere and having a whole load of fish, especially if it's your first time. I mean, you don't want to be sat around blanking like we do when you're trying to get into the sport. You want to be catching fish regularly, learning that fish handling skills and how to play fish properly and safely, more importantly. So I just thought I'd run through a few tips and essential things that I think you should bring with you on top of the standard equipment that you might not think about. So number one thing that I think is really important when you come to these places is a good quality bait. Now I am associated with NutriBaits, so I'm going to say NutriBaits is a great bait, and it's one of the best baits out there. Brilliant ingredients and a proven track record across loads of places. You don't want to be skimping on cheap bait, so get yourself a decent bait. There's a bait limit here of only 2k a day, so you may as well get a really good quality bait that you're putting in there rather than bulk buying something cheaper, whichever brand you end up going with, but just make sure it's got a good track record. So I went with the big fish mix here from NutriBaits, and we've had loads of fish on it already. Now the second thing that I'd recommend bringing is a variety of different hook baits for different presentations, for different rigs, because as I say, my plan was to come here and fish pop-ups, and I started fishing pop-ups and I just couldn't get a bite. There was fish around me and people next to me were having bites, who was trying all different things, tried zigs and everything, but as soon as I swapped over to a wafter, and kept that bait going into the same bit little and often. That's when I started to get the bites, and we're now up into the 20 odd fish now in total. So yeah, it's vital that you bring this thing, because if I'd just sat here on pop-ups, I'd have picked a few off, I'm sure, but I wouldn't have had anywhere near the amount of fish as when I swapped to wafters. So the Techni Spice are the ones that I've had all the fish on, but I did start off on the little pink pepper pop-ups, and just to check that it wasn't just a colour thing, I also put out some Techni Spice pop-ups, which are exactly the same as the wafters, and the wafters were still going a lot quicker. And third thing that I would recommend to bring, which is really helpful and saves you money, is a decent file. Because as I say, I've gone through a lot of fish this session, and instead of having to tie up new hook links every time, a lot of the time the hook isn't folded over, it's just a little blunted on the fish, so you can just give it a little touch up with the file and that rig's ready to go, and you're straight back out there fishing a lot quicker than if you had to tie up new rigs, and it's a lot cheaper. I mean, hook packets are getting more expensive. You don't want to be using hundreds and hundreds of hooks on a session, because if you're doing a few days here, you could really rack up your fish numbers, and it's going to get costly in hook baits and hooks and hook links. So yep, get yourself a decent file and it will really help you save a bit of money and get your rigs out quicker. So that's just a few quick tips that I thought would help, little things that you might not think about. So we're going to get the rods back out there and see if we can have a few more fish. Right, so here we go, fish number 30. Had a little bit of a break while we reeled the rods in, had a barbecue and a chat and a mess around and that. And yeah, flicked the rod back out, and within a minute or so it was away before we even got the alarm on. That one come off, flicked it straight back out there, and it was gone again within another minute or two. So the fish are still out there all around the spot. I don't know how long I'll fish this evening. This will probably be the last one until this morning, and then we'll talk to you then again. But it's a lively little one. Just try and pick it up. There we go, got another hour or so of light, so we might get a couple more, but probably won't bother filming those. So we've seen plenty enough small carp already, unless there's anything of any size. So we'll slip this one, get the rod back on, and I'll catch you in the morning. Alright, so good morning. It was a quiet night in the end because I reeled my rods in because it was getting a bit much. I had a couple of quick ones after I put them out after the barbecue, and then reeled in for the night. And then I got up at about 4 o'clock this morning and flicked them out, and they were away pretty much straight away again on the old Techni Spice wafters to the same spot. Put a little bit more bait out, and then it went a bit quiet. And we've just had a double take, and that brings us up to 36 fish, which is pretty good going for a session, I think. Fishing mostly one rod and not fishing through the nights. So this is a little one. We've got a slightly bigger one at the end, just to show you. This one's just been in the sling a little while. It's a little lively, just while I played the other fish in. Literally melted off while I was already playing this one, so it doesn't want to calm down, this one at all. Right, see if it'll behave for us. Keeps tensing up. Just give them time when they're like this, don't need to rush it. The more you rush, the more they flap around, I find. Right, so there we go, that's the little one, the first one of the brace this morning. The rods are now in, and they're going to stay in and going to pack up, and that'll be that. 36 fish is more than enough for me. So we'll slip this one back, and I'll just get the other one out to show you that one. Alright, so here's the second one of this morning's brace. It's a much bigger, dumpier mirror, probably over 20 odd pounds, but I haven't weighed it. But yeah, it's been a really good session. It's been a good laugh. We're having a couple of sessions with Christian and Blake. It's been good fun. Barbecue's always a laugh. And yeah, I think next time the social will be somewhere a bit less chaotic, because we've all had loads and loads of fish, and it's just gets a bit much when you try and have a social at the same time. But we'll try and lift this one up, see if it'll behave. There we go. How about that? Proper dumpy old mirror. Nice one to end the session on. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Sorry it's been a bit mismatched. It's been a bit all over the place, but yeah, if you like this, Check out the other videos on the channel, click like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.